No, I don't understand why my audio is not coming through.
You're good now, Jarrett.
Oh, you can hear me? Thank you. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Okay, thank you guys for being patient. I'm sorry, my computer literally died right when I hit present. So, so go figure. So I'm pulling up the presentation real quick. Just give me 1 second. I think the heat's done a number on my computer. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July. Okay, so while we're waiting, basically the point of this meeting is just kind of like if there's, I know there's some parents probably on here that are just listening in, and hopefully I'll do the attendance thing at the end to make sure we get all the coaches that are willing to, and some of the high school players that are willing to help out. So really the point of this meeting is just kind of like get all the details out there so that everyone kind of knows what to expect and understands what we're trying to do for this summer, especially for the new parents that might be new to lacrosse and some of the high schoolers that are kind of new to coaching. Just get us all on the same page and kind of working together. But I don't know why my PowerPoint is not loading. It's really concerning me. So I want to try to get through this in about 30 to 40 minutes to kind of keep it brief and short to everyone so that we're, acknowledging everyone's time. And I want to thank everyone for kind of doing it. And since PowerPoint's not loading, I'm just going to load this other document and kind of go through that because I think it'll get the gist of it. And if you have questions or anything, I'm used to being pretty collaborative with stuff, so feel free to ask questions, interrupt when necessary. If it's a question that you think you can wait to the end to ask, I want to get about 15 to 20 minutes at the end to answer any questions on specifically what we're going to be doing and some of the logistics side of things. But other than that, feel free to kind of interrupt as we go. And I'm going to keep trying to get PowerPoint to load while I'm kind of on the fly doing this. I think someone the other day mentioned I need to be flexible and kind of do things on the fly a little bit, but seriously, my computer is like tapped out for some reason. I haven't used Zoom before. My company typically we use the Google Hangouts and Teams. And I think the Zoom just kind of put my computer over the edge. Okay, so I'll bring this up. And basically, there's going to be a parent handout, especially for the competitive players, to kind of give all the parents an understanding of what lacrosse is and kind of some of the things that we're looking at. But I'm just going to go through this PDF. This was given out to all the coaches. So coaches, if anyone that's here that's interested in helping out in coaching, just if we come across anything that's unfamiliar or not clear, just feel free to stop me and interrupt. But and then I'll get the PowerPoint to load, and then we'll go through that pretty briefly. But this was supposed to be the second part of the kind of the meeting, and then the PowerPoint was supposed to be the first part, so we'll just reverse it. But okay, so this is going to be a handout. We're going to give it to all the coaches, and we can make it available to the parents as well. But the basic outline you can see down here, we're going to be, it's all about fun, making it fun for the players, and especially the new ones, to try to get them engaged and enjoying the sport for the first time. So we're not going to do a lot of like correcting and skill development in this 1 week. We're basically going to be introducing the coach, the clinic, the basic skills, and kind of running through them with a kind of a daily focus each day at the rec level, just to get the players kind of engaged and just having fun more than actual skill development. And then you'll probably be amazed after the clinic, when we start having games, how quickly they pick up some of these skills. And that's kind of the goal. So you can see the basic outline down there below is like day one, just have fun. We have a lot of fun drills that we're going to be throwing at the players, just to learn functional movement and things like that, proper grip, and basically how to control the ball in their stick. I think one of the coolest things that lacrosse has that no other sport has is the nature of the stick, and especially at that U10 level, so like kindergarten through about 4th grade, it's just developing a relationship with the stick that the players have never had to do in any other sport. Baseball is pretty easy, just swing the bat, hit a ball, and go. But with the lacrosse stick, that's the great equalizer. And if you listen to some of the old school guys like Jim Brown, when they talk about it, it's what makes the sport unique. It's what makes it creative to the players. They get to customize the stick to how they like to play. And so basically, we want to create a good relationship between the player and the stick, and then the sport. So, and then at the above the U10 level, so like U12 to U14, it's kind of like we call the U stuff sticks in me, and then we call that 5th, 6th, and 7th, 8th grade level, so like the U14s, we call that sticks in we, which is where they're developing a concept to other players on the field. And that's kind of the mantra that we use to divide player development at the different age levels. But it's a little bit deep dive into that, but you can see it's the basic outline. That's what we're going to try to be focusing on those days, even though we're going to be doing all of these skills every single day. The development side of new players, we know that they can only really kind of grasp one major concept. So we're trying to emphasize those things those days, and learn coaching on the fly with everything else. And so how we're set it up, this is still kind of in flux. I'm going to work out the final details tonight, but I basically have broken out every single day and practice plan. And some of these are pretty basic use skills that have been around since the dawn of time for lacrosse, and we're just kind of repurposing them. But the whole idea is we want to go into station-based kind of development. And in the first part of the presentation, which we just missed because of PowerPoint, one of the things we talk about is the importance of like the station-based kind of training. And this is where we need a bunch of high schoolers and kind of coaches kind of working together to divide the team up into different groups, in the different age groups, and then subdivide those into groups of about 5 or 6 players, and then go through the stations all kind of on a central clock. And you can tell each one's about 10 minutes long. And with a 3v3 game at the very end, just to kind of get the players a little reward to just really focus on that fun side aspect of it. But you can see on Tuesday, day one, we're hitting physical literacy, and I hope everyone knows what sharks and minnows are. If you don't, you're going to love this game. And it's really cool for even parents to kind of be involved a little bit. They can kind of help out and be sharks for the first round, and then step out once some players start getting in and using that and this will be a full field kind of thing with the age groups of the kids all kind of being together, not broken out in stations. And we're really just working on functional movement. And the first day that we run this drill, sharks and minnows, we might do it even without sticks, just because, or maybe their sticks are in their hand, but if you tag them, that counts. And then we call it the progression, because as we move through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll start developing more stick skills, and we'll add the ball in. So then they have to cradle, and when they drop the ball, they're out, kind of thing. And then we'll add in the defensive stuff on the 3rd day. And if they drop the ball, they have to recover it. But if another player recovers it, so we're doing that skill progression kind of as we're doing these functional physical literacy things. And really, it's all about proper movements for kids. And I know this will be kind of it's kind of a break from the normal drills for some of the older kids, especially the that 5th, 6th, and 7th, 8th level. But these kids have never played lacrosse before, so this is not the competitive side. This is just the recreational side. I have a whole nother practice plan for the competitive side of things, but these are kids that have never experienced the sport before, and it's just a way for them to kind of start developing functional movement and understanding how to move with the ball, especially the younger guys. And then I'm going to run through these drills because that was what the whole point of the second part of the meeting was for, is to kind of hit on these drills. And each one of these is explained and detailed in this document. So anyone who's interested in coaching is going to get a copy of this, and they can look it over tonight and during the rest of the week. But Hungry Hippos, that's kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's basically a ground ball drill. And well, if you've ever played Hungry Hippos as a kid, it's the same concept. The balls will be in a giant circle. Actually, I'll go through that later. But then catching and passing, we have pop toss and pop down relay, pass down relay. It's just a passing drill. Shooting, scoop and shoot. Apache, I'll talk about that when we get down in the drill section. Triangle passing and have one, need one. This is all about passing, catching, and communication skills. And we're hitting them up early on in development in this. We want them communicating early in their player development. We want them passing and catching, knowing where they're looking, and kind of be intentional with stuff. And then we have Cavalier 2v2. So the way you can kind of see, this is a field diagram of notionally how we can set the field up. And there's going to be 2 fields, of 2 age groups of this. We'll have the 3-4 and K2 guys working together, and the 5-6 and 7-8 guys on another field working together. And they'll be broken out into different stations based on age level, and they'll be rotating through. And like I said, there'll be a central clock kind of keeping time. And every 10 minutes they'll rotate. And we might do this as 3 stations if we have enough. If we don't have enough goals, we can reset the, and I'm going over that tonight to make sure we have enough goals and everything to set up the field diagram the way we want it to. But they'll go straight from one drill to the next. So they could be in this field and they're just going to go around clockwise. So they can go from this Cavaliers 2v2 drill down into the scoop and shoot drill, over to the pass down relay drill, over to the have one, need one drill, down to the Hungry Hippos drill, and then over to the Apache drill. And then that's it. And so that's kind of how the rotation will work. And it's we've done this with Anacortes and some of the other summer clinics that I've worked with over the last couple of years, and it's just been a huge success and gets the players just constantly moving and working together. There's no scheduled water breaks. If we have all 6 stations on, the kids can just get water as they need it when they're not active in one of the stations. And parents can kind of be following them around and giving them water as they need it. There's no scheduled water breaks. If we end up breaking this in half and say we only have enough goals to do half at a time, we might break this in half and give them a 5-minute scheduled water break. And like I said, I'm trying to iron out those logistics tonight so that we're clear on if we're running all 6 at the same time, or if running 2 sets of 3 for the entire, like basically hour, and then the 20-minute game. So this is Tuesday. That's the skills that we're kind of working on, and we'll talk more about the detailed drills in a second. And then Wednesday, like I said, I'm still working on the field diagrams for this, but again, sharks and minnows. And because they've learned how to do ground balls on Tuesday, we're going to add in the skill progression of where they actually have a ball in their stick and kind of make it a little bit more challenging. And then you can see Hungry Hippos again. And just because that's a fun drill, I think a lot of the players can get a lot out of it. There's a lot into it. It's like shooting the ball, scooping the ground ball, proper techniques. And then we have a water balloon toss. We're trying, like I said, we're trying to be pretty creative on some of the fun drills to get, this is last week when it was super hot. This would have been totally appropriate, but I think the weather's cooling off a little bit. Hopefully it warms up that day again. But again, the water balloon toss is, they're doing it in their sticks and they're small water balloons. So we need some parents helping out to volunteer to kind of help fill some water balloons that day, and keep them going. I think we have like 500 water balloons coming, so we'll have plenty. But the goal of this drill is to kind of reinforce those proper habits of catching the ball with soft sticks, soft pockets. One of the things that I'm at the high school level, I'm tired of trying to fix and trying to get these kids even at the very first day, first time they pick up their stick, that they've got to catch the ball over their shoulder with soft pockets, almost like you're catching an egg. And I was talking with one of the girl coaches a couple weeks ago, and there was a myth in college that the girls team used to actually practice passing and catching with eggs. And I think they took showers at the end or something, but they'd be covered with eggs if they weren't catching the balls with soft pockets. So there's kind of a double notion to this drill where we're adding an element of fun of the water balloon toss. How far can you toss the ball without breaking it, and then catching it without breaking it. but forcing those proper habits and kind of reinforcing it in a way that kids can really try to understand it. And then the butt-to-butt scooping drill, that's basically, you know, you're back to back, the ball is between you, you got to box your partner out and get the ground ball. And we can make a game and competition out of that. Kids pretty much love that one. It's like a face-off drill. Through the hoop, it's basically proper ground ball technique. So you can see now we're really focusing on those ground balls. So if I went back to, you know, the schedule day 2, that's that focus on ground balls, proper mechanics. And the through the hoop for the youngest kids, the U10 guys, we have basically hula hoops that we can hold the hula hoop up, and they have to actually force themselves to go through the hula hoop to get the ground ball, really forcing them to get low. For the older kids, we can simply hold up a stick or some kind of obstacle. And then even that, you can make that a game, almost like how low can you go? Like every time you run through it, lower the stick one time, and it's like that roller skating kind of game where you have to get as low as you possibly can. You can make a competition out of that too, but really reinforcing that habit of forcing kids to do things the right way rather than asking them to do it the right way and constantly trying to correct. Add in some of these mechanics to these drills where we force the proper mechanics and reinforcement reasons on why we have to do that. So and then you see have one, need one. That's that communication drill. Hopefully by this point, they've learned a little bit more about proper passing and catching, and that becomes it's gonna be a nightmare the first day. It's gonna be chaotic, it's gonna be crazy, but it'll be fun by the time that they start getting it by the end of the clinic. And then the fastest shot, we'll break out the radar gun. Kids love to compete, and they're gonna be in groups of 5, so it's pretty easily manageable. We might give one of the parents the radar gun, one of the volunteers that would be willing to stand back there with the radar gun, and we'll give them the hard balls instead of the soft balls, and we'll have them see how fast and how hard they can shoot that ball and get it into the goal. And make that a competition. We'll record that day who got the farthest shot and the fastest shot by age group, and we'll post that. We'll have a whiteboard out there, and we'll have that up there, and the record will be going, and we'll award the kid at the end of the day for that. And then you can see again 3v3 at the end of the practice, just to reinforce some of the game fundamentals. Again, we're not working on any game concepts, just having them play and explore and have fun with it and enjoy learning how to play lacrosse kind of in a chaotic way, not overly coaching, stressful kind of way, because we'll have all summer long to work on game mechanics and stuff. So really reinforcing the fundamentals. And then on Thursday, let's go back up here. We're looking at dodges, I think. Dodges, footwork, stick work. Okay. So on Thursday, penny tag. Penny tag is basically like tag. They can be cradling. They've learned how to cradle at this point, so they'll be cradling with the ball, and they'll have a penny or some kind of flag in their possession, whether it's like a flag football thing where it's kind of just tucked into their shorts, and they're going to be forced to cradle and carry a ball around while dodging and preventing other players from snagging their penny or their flag. I believe we have some bandanas that we're going to use for that. But this again starts reinforcing some of the footwork requirements to dodge properly and avoid the defender, which would be the guy that's trying to get the ball from you. And I'll go over the details of that when we get down a little bit farther in there. And then ground ball 360s. So this is just all ground ball work in the station, just a 360-degree circle, just taking a lot of ground balls, a lot of reps, having a lot of fun with it. Hot feet catching is just, we're really enforcing moving and catching the ball with your feet moving and just constantly moving your feet while you're trying to receive a pass and pass the ball. And then we have lacrosse dodgeball. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's the old school dodgeball. We'll have a line you'll have a field kind of set up, an area set up, and there'll be a line of balls in the middle, and there'll be like a restraining line on the back, and the kids have to start behind the restraining line. The line will be along this field, and they'll start behind the GLE or restraining line, run out, grab a ball, get back behind another cone to be able to shoot these soft balls at. And again, we're just using soft balls for recreational. They don't hurt, so it's a little bit of that reinforcement of kind of shooting fundamentals, also dodging fundamentals, because we're really trying to work on that dodging skills and then reinforce what we've hit on earlier in the clinic. And then the bucket dodge drill is basically 2 players are going at it 1v1. There's a bucket on the other side. It could be inside of a crease or a designated area, and the players are really trying to fight by that person, use their agility and footwork to get the ball in the bucket. And we can have as many buckets set up as we want, as many pairs kind of going at the same time as we want. And we can keep score on this and make it a competition and kind of award some cool points for the kids that do well. We'll have popsicle rewards and things like that for the younger guys. Cat and mouse, that's a cat passing, catching, communication drill. We'll talk about that when we get down below. And then coaches dodging. So this is kind of interesting. This is where we actually get the kids kind of in a line. They'll just be in one line. So they might be on the restraining line or the end line or sideline or end line, and they'll just be in one line. And we'll say they'll have them run out. And we'll say do a roll dodge, and they'll do it without a ball first. Do a split dodge, and kind of let them try to figure out how to do it, and then as they're doing this in a giant line, we'll kind of make some corrections while they're going. We'll kind of teach them what the roll dodge looks like, what a face dodge looks like, what a split dodge looks like, and then we'll add the ball in. But they're all doing it kind of together, just kind of exploring the ball and the movements that they need to get kind of those different aspects of those dodges down, but not try to overcoach or overcorrect them. Just let them explore it, have fun with it, and develop their own way of doing it, but reinforcing those fundamental things of what a roll dodge is trying to do, what a face dodge is trying to do, and have fun with it. And then again, 3v3 games. You're going to see this every single day. And then on Friday, that was Thursday, Friday, so more penny tag progression. So we're trying to make it a little bit more difficult. We'll try to add a little bit of pressure in here. And then we take that same circle 360 drill, we turn it into a passing catching drill with lots of passes, lots of catches, with one kid in the middle taking lots of passes from guys on the outside. And then the 4-cone passing triangle drill, the high schooler guys have done this, 7-8 has done this. Everyone pretty much knows what this is, but for you new guys that haven't experienced it, we'll talk about what that looks like. And then a fun game, kind of tic-tac-toe relay. They can do this. The first time they run through it, they can just have a ball in their hand. But it's basically, you put these hoops on the ground, make it into a tic-tac-toe board. There's two lines, two groups of players kind of facing off at each other, one with a set of white balls, one with a set of orange balls, and they get 3. And they go out and they're playing tic-tac-toe. Essentially, one person at a time runs out, puts a ball down, runs back. The next person runs out, puts a ball down. Once all 3 balls are down, they can move their ball, but they can't move anyone else's ball. So they can, it's until someone wins, they can constantly move their ball around. And it takes a little bit of strategy, a little bit of creative thinking. It gets the players thinking strategically while they're in movement, while they're moving toward the objective. And again, we're working on kind of physical literacy and some other aspects of this while we're doing this. And it's kind of a fun drill. So the first time you run through it, maybe do it without the sticks and just have the balls in their hand and move fast. And then, once they get it down a couple times, add the sticks in. So they have to run out cradle, intentionally drop the ball in the tic-tac-toe area where they want to put it. And I can have a video I think I can show of this too to make it easier to explain. But so we can make it a progression drill as well to make it more challenging for kids to kind of, more advanced kids to kind of understand it and get it. And then crash test dummies, that's just a buildup of this coach's dodges drill. If anyone that coached with me at high school, not really at high school, but at the 3-4 level last year, everyone knows what this drill is. They have 2 players running at each other and they have to initiate a dodge. If they do it wrong, well, they become the crash test dummies and they kind of run into each other. It doesn't hurt, but it forces them to make the move. Whatever dodge they're going to want to do, they're going to do it early enough so they don't collide with the other player, and they use it to get around them. So we're kind of reinforcing that and try to make it fun and enjoyable at the same time. And then lax keep away, that's just like essentially 5 by, if we have 6 kids, 3 kids on a team, we'll make it an even odd number. So like 6 and 5 or 4 and 3. So we try to get that odd number. If we have an even number, we might have a kid set out or make him play defense or something like that. But basically it's find the open player. So this is a buildup of the have one, keep one, have one, need one drill where the players are constantly talking to each other about it. Now they have to actually find that we take all but one of the balls away and they have to find that player. And we'll talk more about that when we get down to the actual drill. And the messy backyard, that's just a fun cleanup drill. Get all the balls back so that we don't lose any, and chase the ball drill basically. And then a 3v3 game. So that's kind of the quick down and dirty of what each day will look like. And like I said, I'm just trying to work out the final details. Once my PowerPoint starts working, I'm gonna try to load it again while I'm talking. I'll go through the other side of this to show you what the numbers look like for the number of players that we have at the different age levels and how we're trying to break out some of the players. So let me right click, hold on. Okay, so now we're gonna go through the drills. Oops, yeah, now it's working. Okay, so now let's go through, and so like I said, this is going to have an actual, the rest of this document is pretty much all of those drills that we just talked about, kind of in detail. So if you guys are coaching and you haven't gotten this or haven't looked at it yet, text me, email me, call me, whatever. I'll get you a copy tonight. But you want to be a little bit familiar with this, so you know what's going on tomorrow, and you can kind of help out a little bit more intentionally. But I have one quick primer in here on like how to teach catching. Like, it's kind of interesting. Like at the last coaching clinic we had last summer, I asked like, how would you explain, getting a ground ball to a new coach? And, they start thinking about it like, wait a minute, I've done this forever. It's like, how would I explain how to get a ground ball? But, my argument is you're already starting on the wrong foot when you're over explaining it. So you want to ask the players direct questions like, how would you get that ball off the ground? Or, how would you catch this ball? And get them thinking about it rather than just simply showing it to them, instructing them, and then making corrections. Ask them questions up front, get their brain engaged, thinking about it a little bit, and you'll be surprised at how much faster development happens once they're thinking about it differently than just simply listening to a coach talk and try to demonstrate it. Because a lot of times they won't get it until they start playing with it, right? And so one of the ways we can teach catching is like, just take the stick away. A lot of times kids have, especially earlier development, kids have trouble with sticks. The stick is the biggest thing that they have to get used to, but it's also one of the biggest handicaps. So just have them pass the ball back and forth overhand, make sure they're doing it overhand without a ball. I mean, without a stick, just the ball. And then have them just focus on the throat. So now remind them that if they've ever played baseball or any sport similar like that, it's just like, when you have the head of the stick right at your hand, it becomes almost like a baseball mitt. So then now we're adding a little bit of progression in there. So we can kind of work through that stuff, and then pretty soon, then they're passing and catching with the full stick and proper mechanics. But and then we're just attending to them while they're practicing it, making little tweaks while they're going along, rather than trying to correct every single thing. And you can kind of see down here, pop tosses is just throwing the ball up to themselves and catching it, just throwing it straight up in the air. Each kid just throwing it straight up in the air overhand, catching it overhand, straight up in the air, catching it overhand. And then we'll add the partner in there. So they're throwing it to a partner. And it really just depends on the age level that the kids are at and where they're at on their focus level and what they're doing. But that's what that progression can kind of look like. And then we'll add in the 360 catching, which is standing in a circle with players throwing balls at you and you catching it and throwing it back. That would be pretty advanced actually for this level. And then the 4-cone triangle drill is adding that footwork motion in there to make sure that we're reinforcing the kids' motion. And the other thing that we really want to highlight this season is from day one, kids are doing it with, you have 10 minutes in each station, right? So that's a lot of time and kids can get bored with that, but focus on using both hands all the time. Like if you're doing your right hand, go right to your left hand, go right back to your right hand, non-dominant, dominant hands, and back and forth. We want kids comfortable from day one using the non-dominant hand and not be okay with just sticking on their dominant side and then having to break those bad habits as they get older. So this is kind of like a little primer on how to do catching. But then the specific drills are, I'm not looking on time while I'm doing this. Okay, pretty good. So the 360-degree catching, basically a player is in the middle of a circle and he starts with a ball and one player on the outside, the rest of the players on the outside of the circle, and one of them does not have the ball, right? Or we can start with everyone outside with the ball and no one inside, and the player on the inside does not have a ball. And we start with a pass in, pass out. He has to turn, catch another one, pass in, pass out, turn, catch another one, pass in, pass out. He's going to do that for every single player on the perimeter, and then he steps out, another guy steps in, and we repeat. And ideally is we're just practicing partner passing, which is just one step up from partner passing, where we have to move our feet to find that player and look for that ball. And we just want to make sure that we're catching overhand. So it's a pretty basic skill, pretty basic drill. but we're adding footwork in there, we're adding strong hand, weak hand in there, and we're throwing good passes. And the cool thing about this naturally is players on the outside, if this player on the inside misses the ball, there's probably someone on the backside to help out grab it. So we're not spending hours of practice chasing balls that we miss. And so we were trying to build some of those kind of safety nets into some of these drills. And I say 6 players, but it's depending on how many we break out. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And then the Apache drill, it's very similar in some regards. The players are going to be running around the crease, and they're going to be 2 different colors. That we'll have practice pennies of 2 different colors, and we'll basically roll out a ball and call out a color, or we call out a specific player. We can do it a couple different ways, and that player's got to scoop through, grab the ground ball, and then hopefully go score on it, right? So again, we're trying to work on ground balls, and we can throw out multiple balls, not just one ball. We can throw out 2 or 3 balls, but they're getting a little bit of calisthenics in, athletics, running around the circle. We'll throw out 1 or 2 balls, call out a couple players' numbers, give them numbers or something along those lines, and then rotate them. So it's, again, they're just getting a little exercise, playing, running around the circle, running around the goal, and then we throw out a ball. They have to run out, shoot it, grab it, shoot it, hopefully not hit anybody as they're trying to shoot the ball. So Cavalier 2v2 drill, it's just 2-on-2. It's a 2-on-2 drill. Coach will roll out a ball, and the players are going to go 2-on-2. We're not throwing checks. This is kind of an advanced drill. I think some of the younger players are going to struggle with it, but it's a good way to start. So we'll have 4 players in, 2 different colors, and we'll just roll the ball out, and they're going to play 2-on-2 with their ground ball, and they can shoot, they can score, they can play however they want. But really trying to build up on those 2v2 mechanics. And generating offense. That's the point of this drill. This is going to be pretty advanced for some young guys or new players, but remind them that there's no checking, and we can't check each other's hands. So don't give up their body position. We want to move our feet, and there's a couple different ways we can add difficulty to that to make it a little more challenging. But whoever gets the ground ball can attack the goal however they want. They can pass it. They can go straight to the goal and shoot it. They get to be creative. So the have one, need one drill. So again, we'll have a bunch of players with balls, a bunch of players without balls, same number of players ideally, but the players without balls are going to yelling need one, and the players with balls are going to be yelling have one. So constantly moving around, constantly running around, trying to find a player with the ball, without a ball, and they can't pass it back to the person that they just passed from. So they got to find a new teammate every time they make a pass. And again, we're working on communication, finding space, working within space, like that's that field awareness aspect of it, but also proper passing, and how to call for balls, and how to get your teammates' attention, and hopefully use each other's names and kind of learn each other's names. But and again, they need to be going left hand and right hand, so dominant and non-dominant. This is actually a pretty good drill because I can barely get high schoolers to talk to each other. So if I can get a bunch of youth guys and rec guys talking to each other, we're in a good spot. Kind of reinforcing those basic fundamentals as we go. But treat it kind of like musical chairs. There's one less ball or one less person, so we always find the right number of people. And then Hungry Hippos, again, so all the balls will be in the circle in the middle, and we'll have 4 goals stationed on the outside, and all the players, so we'll divide the players up into teams, however many we have. If we only have 4, it's 1 person per team. If we have 6, one team will have 2, and we'll divide it up that way. But hopefully we have enough, and we can always change the number. So if we have 6, we can just use 3 goals, get rid of 1 goal, so there's 2 players at each goal. So we can be a little creative with it. But it's just like that game as a kid, right? You slap your hand on the little lever, and the little mouth goes out, grabs the ball, and brings it back. Same kind of concept. So if there's 2 players on this goal, one player runs out, scoops up a ground ball, comes back and shoots on goal. The other player is not free to go until that ball's in the back of the net, right? And we had one of the 3rd graders this year. It was I'm sorry, I'm just laughing already, but we had one of the 3rd graders this year playing this, and he hit he missed the goal, ran and got it, hit the pipe, ran and got it. I mean, he went like 5 times and just could not get the ball in the goal. It was hilarious. It was just funny. But anyways, it's a good experience. So whoever at the end, once all the balls are gone, whoever you count the balls in the goal, and that team won, and give them a point and make it a competition. But again, this is fundamentally scooping up ground balls, shooting a ball on goal, and a little bit of calisthenics and activity in there as well. We can add in, as players get more advanced, some defense stuff. So you can come out and play defense. to try to disrupt the shot. But again, without sticks and gloves, without gloves and helmets and pads, we're not throwing any checks. So we're just throwing basically defensive work, footwork, kind of disrupting it, trying to get a bad pass. And when the ball's on the ground, anyone can go box them out and get the ground ball. But again, whoever gets the most balls in the goal at the end wins. You can't steal balls out of goals, right? And if we don't have enough goals, we can use buckets. We can use the hoops that we got and different kind of obstacle objects to act as targets for that. Penny tag, again, is exactly what it sounds like. I have this shown for one-on-one playing kind of tag, but again, it could be, we can have one square with 4 people in it. It doesn't matter. But basically a 5-yard designated area that kids have to stay in. And the penny tag is they're trying to pull the flag out of someone's waistband or penny or something along those lines. But the first time you do this, don't do it with a stick. So just learn the footworks and then add the stick in and then add the ball in with the cradle, right? So there's a progression here to this that those kids can, learn the fundamental movements of their feet first to protect their hip with their, use their outside foot to pivot on to protect their hip. That's kind of like that basketball mentality. And then once they get that down, then they can start practicing how to cradle and protect the ball at the same time. And again, when they're going to get that ground ball because they dropped it, they're leaving them so vulnerable for that penny grab or penny tag. And this is a fun one for kids. It's a lot of energy, and we can do it a couple different ways. We can set up 4 squares, and again, it's just going to look at numbers on how to best set it up. But they get a 2 squares, with 4 players each or 2 players each. But we're probably going to be in groups of 5, so kind of works out pretty well to have 2 groups going, and the odd guy kind of rotates in. But scoop and shoot drill, exactly what it sounds like. Line A will roll out a ground ball. Line B will grab it, go down, shoot on goal. Same thing. Line D will roll out a ground ball. Line C will grab it. They're going at the same time. We'll shoot on goal, and then just rotate through clockwise. So lots of scoops. Hopefully they can add some dodges in once they get those down, roll dodges and things like that. But really emphasizing scoop on the ground ball, shoot the ball, get a goal. Sharks and minnows, everyone knows sharks and minnows, hopefully. If not, we'll do this one together, so it's going to be easy, but try to keep, this one's going to be short, 5 minutes. The kids get kind of wasted, gassed on this one pretty quickly. We started doing this year. We tried to experiment at 3-4 prior to the game, have kids play sharks and minnows. And man, I got to tell you, it really geared them up. It got them excited and kind of aggressively playing. So there's a lot to this. There's a lot to this game that gets kids kind of excited about it, but really teaching them dodging, stick protection, cradling. But it's also, once you start re-emphasizing some of the 1v1 mechanics, like the defensive footwork stuff, it's how you play 1v1 defense, right? So you'll have one guy trying to get in front and just stop the minnow, the sharks and minnow, just like you would in a pool, trying to get them to get to the other side of the field. But it really teaches that one-on-one defense, one-on-one offense, dodging and stick protection. So this drill actually does a lot. It's really chaotic, and kids kind of start learning a little bit like what they're doing wrong. And as we see kids kind of going for those stick checks, like over the head checks and taking themselves out of positions, we can remind them that, play with their feet instead of and we can play this without a stick at first, just to get the sticks out of it, just so that they're familiar with the drill and comfortable with it. You might have to do that with the kindergartners or the younger guys, so they know what the drill is. And then the next time we run it, add the sticks in. And that's why we're talking about that progression. So we probably won't even have sticks on the first day, but then really focus them using both hands at the same time. Tic-tac-toe, kind of explained it. Oh, there's a typo there. I got to fix that. There'll be 9 hoops on the ground, kind of divided into a tic-tac-toe board, and the 2 lines of players will be out here. And actually, I can draw this. Hold on, how do I draw this? I'll do it on the other one. I don't want to do it here. Oops. No, give me that back. Okay. And then, so pass down relay, there'll be a bucket of balls and players in a line. If we only have the players to do 1 line, that's fine. If you have 5 players, we'll do 5 in a line with stretched out along an area with a goal on one side and balls on the other. And this player will scoop up a ball, pass it to this player. This player will pass it to this player. This player will pass it to that player. And then this player has to run all the way back and pick up a ground ball at this cone. And every player shifts down 1, and we repeat that until all the balls are in the goal. And if we have 6 players in a group, that's great. We'll have 3 players in a line doing this, and you can make it a relay race so that all of the balls, whoever gets all the balls in their goal first wins. Or set a time limit for it and to see how many balls we can get in there in a time limit if we only have one line, and be like, well, the last group got like 20 in, you guys only got like 15. Let's try to push ourselves or something. Make it a competition and make them kind of earn it and compete it. But again, basically, this player here starts with the ground ball, passes it to this player, pass it to this player, pass it to this player. That player shoots. This player then runs all the way back to the beginning, picks up a ground ball. Everybody moves to the next cone, and we're doing that passing drill again. So reinforcing passing, catching, moving your feet, and shots on goal. Lacrosse dodgeball, can just kind of set up a diagram of it. So, we can have lines of cones set up to designate these areas. Everyone knows what GLE is. It's goal line extended, just be behind the goal. It's kind of like having your foot on the wall during traditional dodgeball. You can see I say foam balls only, but the balls will be on the line here, and the players have to get a ground ball, stay on their side, and come back behind this restraining line to shoot balls at guys on the other side. And it's just lacrosse dodgeball. So the same dodgeball rules apply. If you catch it, that player that threw it's out. If you try to catch it and you miss, you're out, and just make it fun. And we're reinforcing ground balls, shooting, passing, catching under pressure. And this is pretty creative. I like this drill a lot because it forces them to catch passes that they normally wouldn't be, expecting, like over the shoulder, your traditional 3-point triple threat position at the shoulder catch. So it kind of forces those players that are getting acquiring higher skills level faster, they can challenge themselves with this. But yeah, so ground ball through the hoop, we kind of talked about that. The coach can stand here with his hand with the hoops, and for the younger players, they run through the hoop, big C, plant the ball back down, and come behind the line. The next guy's up, he runs, gets the ground ball, goes to the hoop, big C around the cone, plants the ball, and then goes to the back of the line. If the older players, the hoops might be too small for them. So if they're not able to get low enough, the coach can just stand here and hold out his hands, and we can hold it as arms or stick, and the players just have to get under that arm. But the reinforcing, getting down low, forcing the player through the proper mechanics of having to get low rather than just explaining them to get low, and really forcing them to get under your hand, under your stick, or through the hoop to get the ground ball that's directly in front of the hoop, and then scoop through that, run through the cone, big C, turn around, plant that ball back where you picked it up from, and then get to the back of the line. I'm not going to talk about Thunderdome Cradle. We did this one at 3-4 this year. We might do this one. It depends, but we'll talk about that tomorrow at practice. And then the bucket drill, again, the bucket will be in the middle. We can have the crease set up. There could be a designated crease or cones or area. The player outside will start with the ball. He's trying to get the ball into the bucket, and the player on the inside of the circle is trying to prevent the player with the ball from getting the ball into the bucket, right? And we can do this just like that circle 360 drill. You can have one guy in the middle. He goes against everyone on the outside, and then we rotate a player in, or we can do a 1v1 with multiple circles going at the same time. But and we'll just figure out how many players we have per group and what works best. But I think, like, if we have all the players on the outside, the player in the middle will call out one player. That player's got to get that ball in the bucket. He's got to defend it. And then he'll go through all the players, and then whoever the next person will step in, and we'll kind of keep score and do it that way. But make a game out of it and try to see who got the best score or something along those lines. But again, he's just using his footwork, no sticks involved here, just the ball. And he's got to fight past the defender to get the ball in the bucket. He's trying to just keep him from getting into that bucket. And yeah, like I said, we can start without sticks, and then we can add the stick with cradle once the kids start learning it. And that's it. So those are all the drills. So again, if you don't have a copy of this and you need a copy of this, I'm going to make some minor changes to it because I saw a typo, and I'm trying to figure out these final station work based on numbers. So I'm going to close this. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions so far? This is a good time to stop. What is this? I don't even know what that is. No questions? Wow. That's unheard of. Well, if you have questions, you can always email me, um, and I'll definitely get back to you tonight. But we're going to talk about all this at the field tomorrow. So I'm going to get there early enough to set up, and we'll talk about all those drills and how we're breaking up the field tomorrow. So if you have any questions, you can always follow up with me tomorrow on any of those things that we just talked about. So I'm going to go through this very quickly because I want to be respectful for time, and I know it's a little bit late, and I think I'm running a little bit over. What time is it? I don't know what time it is. Oh, I got 7 minutes to be on schedule. Okay, no pressure. So, quick little agenda. We're talking about player development, communication, practice planning. We did that last part, so we're not going to do that again. I'm going to breeze through this, but this is like our goals. Our goal is to elevate lacrosse across Rockland County, provide every opportunity for players to learn, discover, participate, enjoy, and ultimately embrace the shared passion of lacrosse. Wow. That's what we do as coaches. And this is kind of a cool little animation. I spent a lot of time on this. I hope it's coming across pretty good, but those are kind of our individual player core values that we want the kids to learn. I just throw this on everything we do so that everyone knows we're on the same page on what we're trying to do fundamentally with kids. And this slide is really, we're 3-tier development. And you can see what we're really focusing on, especially right now, is this recreational side of lacrosse, which is introductory development, right? So typically as players move up this level of competition, fewer and fewer players have the opportunity to play. Well, one of the things that we've done is pretty much limit ourselves to the scholastic side, and we haven't really created a depth of player base that can help promote this so we can derive, an elite travel team out of that. And that's kind of one of our goals, is to kind of get to that level where we have opportunities for kids at every age level, at every skill level, every competitive level to play lacrosse. So the ones that want to be up at that elite level, they'll have opportunities. And those kids that just want to play for fun with their friends, there's opportunities to do that as well. But you can see as you move up the level of play, usually the play time usually goes down, and that's a struggle for a lot of kids to get. And it's hard to identify those kids that are going to be the next, Miles or Paul Rabel or, these, Rambo, all the studs that you have at the PLL right now. A lot of those would have gone unnoticed a few years ago because of the lack of access to the sport in a cost-effective way that can draw out those players and give them a path into that level of competitiveness. It certainly wasn't there when I was learning. It was all club elite level stuff, and there wasn't any of this community recreational type stuff going on. And that's one thing that I've been pretty passionate about, that we're going to try to change and just get more opportunities for kids playing lacrosse. And that's why we're really focusing on this rec level this year. As a season calendar, not going to spend any time on that. But again, this is kind of discussing why I think station-based practices are important. It really just kind of gives a lot more ways for kids to participate, especially at this level, the competitive level. It's more structured. There's a lot more drill and kill kind of aspects to it the kids don't love, but we take it away for this stuff so the kids can just learn to have fun and play and just learn to love the sport. But it gives them more opportunity to practice the skills, and we can give more individualized instructions, especially if we have a bunch of high schoolers kind of there to help instruct the kids kind of one-on-one and give them that while they're running through these drills. The other thing about station-based practices that I love is it innately builds in. One of the things with lacrosse is, just like basketball, we have high transition, high tempo, transition type aspects to the game where kids are offense and then defense and their middies and their attack and their defenders, and their role is constantly changing depending on where they're out in the field, what the relationship to the ball is. And with station-based practices, especially at this youth level, it kind of builds in some of that experience so that they're learning what that tempo looks like. They're going to have to readjust when you go to the drill because they're going to be doing something else, even though they've kind of, some of the stuff they've done already builds into it. But their role changes pretty quickly on the field. So we're trying, station-based practices really help us to kind of get into that mode of high tempo transition lacrosse, which I'm trying to get these guys at the high school level to kind of master at. That's why we're doing the station-based stuff. I pulled this from last summer's kind of clinic guideline. But again, kids are here to play lacrosse. We want to make sure that they're trying to be their best rather than trying to be someone else's best. they're not trying to measure up to the coach or to some other player. It's really hard for some of the fundamental guys the younger guys to get. But again, at that U8, U10 level, so 3, 4 and below, it's all about sticks and me, a relationship to their stick. And with the older guys, it's sticks and we, which is a relationship to them and their teammates. So that's kind of the focus that we want to be looking at. And then we talk about setting goals with kids that are focused on doing their best and cheer like crazy when they achieve them. I got to tell you, our sidelines are so quiet sometimes, and our fans are so quiet sometimes. We want that positive encouragement. And I've said this a couple times, a couple years, never underestimate the power of the high five. And the higher you make it, the more they have to use their body to get to that. It just brings out that level of energy. And we want that level of energy for our players. But the kind of goals that we want to be setting are things like, you want to get rid of all the negative self-talk, but set goals like, in games, rather than focus on winning, we want to be saying like, if we win 60% of the ground balls, we'll win the game. So even in these drills, we want to set little goals for these guys, like get 3 shots on goal, right? Get 4 shots on goal, get 5 balls in the bucket, right? Set these little manageable goals, and even it could be just 1 ball in the bucket, right? If they're really struggling on ground balls or something, like it could be really manageable. But give them goals while they're doing it, and then cheer for them when they do it, right? We're building those positive concepts in. And then we did this last year. We started this with COVID, the no laps, no lines, no lectures. Because of the constraints that we had with COVID, we wanted to get kids out there, high intensity practices, get through them. And then the idea was that they would do like video evaluations and meet with the kids one-on-one afterwards. We just didn't get to be able to pull that off, but hopefully by next year we can do some more of that stuff. But just really get them in high tempo, no laps. So what we're really saying with the no laps is we don't want to use exercise as a punishment as little as possible. And especially at the youth level, we want these guys thinking that exercise is a reward, not a punishment. We want them thinking that, because we want them learning to train and to do their best, and that physical exertion is a reward, not a punishment. And a lot of times, a lot of other sports, they use those physical as punishment. We don't want to do that. So let's take away playtime and things like that. That's more damaging to them anyways. If they don't get to play, right? That's a bigger punishment to them than physical conditioning. I'm not saying don't do any of the physical conditioning. We just want to try to limit it as much as possible so that we're not creating a negative perception toward physical exertion at any of these age levels. No lines, keep the players moving. That's why we're doing the station-based stuff. And no lectures, keep them short to the point. And if they're in lines, keep them moving. That's where parents can really help out. Like make a dance, make a game out of it, have fun, but constantly keep these kids moving, even if they're in a line waiting for their turn to go. But limit the lines as much as possible. And I think you'll see most of those drills that we've talked about really do a good job to do that. Not everything must be structured. Okay, so there's going to be times for kids to, if there's at the end of a drill, if you've gotten through everything and there's like still 2 minutes left, give them creativity to play with them. Get to use their stick and explore it a little bit. Not everything has to be structured. Not every single minute of it has to be detailed out. Let the kids experience it a little bit, and especially if they're struggling a little bit, maybe they go on the side and even practice the ground ball on their own a little bit till they can get it. And it builds higher level of creativity and dexterity in the player. So make sure you're giving them opportunities to do that as well. I'm not going to go over that. We already talked about what the basic kind of outline should be, even though you notice we're doing all these skills every day. We want to hit on these focuses these specific days because most of the drills are kind of aligned to bring out those specific focal points. An effective communication with players. Yeah, so be specific, be honest and positive, be concise. That's the Twitter, I call it Twitter speak, right? Like this, everyone knows I struggle with this. I'm actually pretty good with the players, like it's pretty, vacate fill. Everyone at high school knows what it is. Dodge, pass, dodge. Everyone at high school knows what that is. And it's that Twitter speak. I have a hard time with other documents and over explaining other things. But when it comes to some of the lacrosse, roll away from pressure, big C. We want to keep it as specific as possible. Get the ground ball, big C, roll away from pressure. And we'll build that in. And then ask questions so that they can demonstrate mastery. Like, ask them what they felt when they did that ground ball. Don't just tell them what they're doing wrong. See if they can fill in the blank a little bit. But, as you're talking to the players, this week. Make sure that you're hitting on these things. Staying positive is the biggest one, and trying to be as specific and concise as possible. So, and I struggle with that, but we want to engage in parents. Hopefully, hopefully there's some parents on this telecom. I think there are actually, but we want to properly engage parents, and we're gonna, even at the very beginning, we're gonna be teaching parents how to play catch with the ball. Like, one of the things I love is like these parents, I'm gonna go get a lacrosse stick so I can play. I'm like, no, just go get a baseball glove and make sure you're throwing overhand every single time and not throwing underhand, because the minute you lower your hand to throw underhand, those kids lower their stick, and that they're no longer catching over the shoulder. So we want to properly engage parents, and then there's it's a lot of herding cats with younger kids and younger players, especially new players, because they don't know what they're doing and they're awkward, they're trying to figure things out. But I think one of the things that and our sport is different than other sports. It requires a high level of community involvement because it's a challenging sport to learn, and we need parents to be positively encouraging and setting that foundation of positive encouragement both on the field, off the field, and around the field, especially at home. We don't want parents that are not coaches necessarily coaching. We want them not directly coaching. We want them encouraging, but understanding kind of what we're doing in practice so that they can kind of help their kids at home a little bit, like with some of the things I talked about, like using a baseball glove instead of a lacrosse stick, and making sure that you're passing and catching over the shoulder, and understanding what wall ball is and some of these other concepts. But I think oftentimes, traditionally, a lot of sports, they isolate parents without giving them the proper respect they deserve, and the general appreciation goes a long way if we can properly engage parents, in helping us as coaches, and encouraging them to use the radar gun and things like that, and modeling some of the involvement without, and drawing a fine line between coaching and encouraging. We don't want every parent coaching because it creates problems, uh, in other ways. We found that at 3-4 this year. One of the things that, and I kind of knew this all along, but it kind of happened organically. What the 3-4 players are telling us, like the hardest thing for them to deal with was coaches in game telling them they need to do one thing, parents on the sideline coaching, thinking that they're helping, and all the best positive trying to help, but really saying the opposite of what we want them to do, and it's creating a conflict in these 3-4 kids. And we can have I can spend all day talking about this, but we want parents positively encouraging the players and not directly coaching, unless they want to be involved as coaches. And we want to get those parents that want to be involved as coaches trained up in how to do this stuff. So, but finding ways to engage the parents, I think, I think we need to involve the parents with clear communication, through meetings and everything else, but giving them a lot more respect and encouraging into the sport, I think, other than what other sports in this area. And it's a tough one with Linden because, you know, I think there's a mindset here of just drop the kids off and leave, and we want to try to break that a little bit. But yeah, and always being mindful that it's the player centric approach. So if parents become a problem toward the player development, then we need to make some changes there. But anyways, properly engaging parents and getting them working together, to solve success. So critical to success communication. All of the new parents are going to have to learn how to use the Sports Engine app, and all the coaches, we want to communicate through the Sports Engine app and get away from text to emails. That way everything is centrally located. We're all using the same kind of tools throughout the program, and that's one of the things that our program coordinators, Mary and Yetcha, are going to be helping with this week, is getting the parents used to Sports Engine, how to download it, how to get the kids signed up and rostered, and so that we're using these communication tools, especially the new players. And it's not infallible. There are problems with it, but we'll work through those and make them positive. So I say spring, fall playtime. This is, I pulled this out of our coaching handbook. Basically, all I'm really saying here is that at the recreational level, all kids play equal playtime, right? We don't play favorites. We're going to do small-sided games, so every kid's going to have a time to play the game, as much as possible. We're not worried about playtime here. So if you're worried about playtime, don't be worried about playtime. And if we're having playtime issues, please come talk to me directly. You'll have my contact information. If parents are coming to you to talk to you about playtime issues, we'll work through those. But this is recreational. Everyone plays as much as possible. So if you have one guy on the field for 5 minutes, make sure we're getting everyone in on a 5-minute rotation. But yeah, So right now, currently, it looks like we have, these are the current numbers that we have. So for this recreational versus competitive. So no one under U8 signed up for competitive, which is, that's kind of, I was expecting that. And then we're really focusing on more on the recreational side of things with the, 13, 7, 10, and, 3. So this is 13 people here. This is about 20 people here. So the youth section is going to require a lot more people. But the 13, we can break them out in 2 groups of essentially 6. And I think some of these competitive players will fall into that. So then we can hopefully, if we can get to 15, we can break them out into 3 groups of 5. But we'll really see tomorrow what we get for final numbers, and we're kind of expecting some of the players, some walk-on registrations as well, just because some people have trouble actually registering. So we think some people are just going to show up. But we're going to try to break these kids out into these color codes. So if you're, we have these color armbands, we'll figure out which colors go where, but these players will be grouped together and they'll be on one field. These players will be grouped together. They'll be on another field, but the fields will be set up identical, and we'll be running the drills identically, just in two different fields, and the stations will be going based on the number of players. So we think that this might be a little bit of a struggle for some of the younger players to compete with some of the 3-4 guys. That's kind of a big jump in age development, but we're gonna try to see how that looks like. And with those 13 kids, if we can, bump 1 or 2 of them up to the U10, I think we have a good split there with about 8 to 9 kids, and 10 to 11 kids broken out into groups of 5 to 6. So that's kind of where we're ending up with the numbers of 5 to 6. So okay, I've been talking for a lot. I want to make sure that I'm mindful of your guys' time. We ran through that very quickly. So if there's any questions, I don't know how to check the chat to see if people are asking questions. I don't know if people know how to do that. I'm used to using Teams. I don't know if you guys can see my screen. I'm trying to figure out how to use the other thing. But does anyone have any questions? Go ahead. I don't know if you can unmute yourself, or if I have to unmute you, or I don't know how that works. Like I said, I'm so used to using Google Hangouts instead of Zoom. I don't know how to use the Zoom stuff as much anymore. Where's the chat? No questions? Come on, there's gotta be at least one. How about, like, what'd you do for 4th of July? Anyone? This is that awkward silence. I'm gonna start calling people out. I gotta figure out, where's the list of attendees? Hold on. See if Bernie's on here. Call him out. Participants. Oh, there's Bernie. I'm gonna unmute. No, it's Andrea. Oh, I'm gonna start unmuting people. Okay, so any questions? No one's got questions. Okay, well, you guys have my number here. I'll actually put it on the screen. If you guys need to call me tonight, or text me or whatever, I'm pretty much semi-vampire-ish, so you can reach me at any point in time. And I'm not joking with that. So if you have a question, feel free to text me, and I will put my number up here. And if everyone that's helping coach tomorrow, make sure you guys have a copy of that handout. We're gonna give one more handout to the parents, but I'm intending to give that to the competitive level, but I might give it to the youth level too. Just to kind of, it's just a handout, like what to look for skill level. And that's my phone number, and then my email address is, I don't check this as very often. And again, my name is, I have caps lock on. Most of you guys probably know me. Hopefully you new guys, the new parents. If you guys have any questions. that's my contact information. Screenshot it, write it down, and I'm excited. This is cool. This is the first time we've had this many. I'm serious. We have 33 new players for the first time signed up. That's huge. So this will be fun tomorrow, and I'm really hoping you guys are looking forward to it. And there's some fun games involved, and hopefully we get a lot more of these high schoolers coming out to kind of give back to the kids, because that's what makes it most rewarding for these younger guys, to see some of the older kids kind of role modeling and setting the example for them. So cool. All right. Well, if I give you guys one more chance to ask any questions. So if there's no more, then I hope you guys have a good night, and I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Cool. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Jarrett, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Who's that?
Yostin.
Ghostin. What's up, buddy?
I think that we did good with slides and banana cut. So should we get a banana split and you owe us a trip to Three Water Slide?
Yes, we'll work that out.
Are you still recording that part?
let me end the recording before I sign up for something that I'm obligated to. Oh, there you go.